Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District's Day After Reckoning, where we break down the game Washington played just yesterday. I'm Nathan. That's the Stoner. And you can tell that because I'm putting up our disclaimers right now here on the channel. We do this every day after Washington plays, 7:30 live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Don't forget you can check out our Wednesday show, our flagship program. That's Wednesday, 7:30. Same channels, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and then catch it all right afterwards on your favorite audio platform. And it is back-to-back wins, Stoner. How great does that feel?
Feels good. It's weird how this happens or why this is always, but man, after a win, it's just your week is just better. You just have better outlook. You wake up, you feel good, you're not pissed off. It just makes everything better in your life.
We are entirely too involved. Thanks, Yam, there for you. I'm usually a little loud. Yam, for those audio listeners, Yam saying my mic's cutting out.
It does that when you have the music bed under.
Okay.
It kind of like it's like it's trying to figure out, which one to play. Well, then it sounds like we don't need a music bed right now. I apologize for those who love the music bed, but it's always just at the beginning, and then it figures it out.
And it figures it out. All right. Well, maybe we'll figure that out another time. We don't want to waste anybody's time here because we got a winner to talk about. It is the onesie is back, folks. Back to back. I get to wear the classic Redskins onesie here.
And you're keeping that. You're doing that every time until
they lose.
Otherwise, right?
Until they lose. Yep. So it's just kind of that superstition. I need them to hold out because I've yet to purchase the Commanders one. So not that I can't go back to the Washington football team, but I wanted to get the Commanders one in the bag as well. So just keep winning games, and we'll keep seeing the Redskins onesie. That's how this works.
I'll take
it. It is a onesie, not a onesie, a onesie. Absolutely.
That's right.
Shout out to the Yam in the chat. We got the Hawk TV as well. We appreciate everybody who jumps in here. Real quick sponsorship message before we get moving. We are sponsored by Pacers Running. For every run, check them out. They take care of all your feet stuff. You can either go online, get yourself a virtual fitting, get the right shoes for you. Okay. Or you can go to one of their 5 stores here in the DMV area. They got you covered. And then, of course, we're still sponsored by Manscaped. Use the code REF, get you 20% discount as you check out and free shipping. That time is ticking on that one. So you're going to want to get in there and use that right away. All right.
To be fair, it's always going to be good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like the 20% off and free shipping using the code REF is always going to be good. We got like this 30-day trial period of how well we are pushing their product.
Okay, that's how it works. I thought it was good for the 30 days. So thanks for the correction on that one, Stoner. I mean, we could have just used a little bit of FOMO, but we're honest here. There's no fear of missing out. You can still use the code after our trial period ends. But we appreciate anybody who helps us out with that one. And then, of course, we don't have Trev today because he's working down at the Sky Bar. So you can head down to Lexington, Virginia, catch him in person at the Sky Bar. All right, let's get on to this nice team win, as John calls it. Bonafide with you there. Birds are singing. The sky is more blue. The onesie is on, and Washington has beaten Green Bay. What a beautiful day. Absolutely. It's been such a good day. Even with work, I had meetings all day. I had reports to write. None of that matters now because we've got ourselves a victory to talk about. Now, Stoner, little disclaimer. We do this all the time when it comes to the losses, and we did it against the Bears because that was an ugly win. Yeah. There are going to be some negative things to talk about today.
Sure.
Okay. That's just how it works. Team has always got to improve. We're going to find ways that they can improve, so we will get there. But I'm not wearing a onesie. I'm not rocking this because we're going to be Sour Patch Kids today. No, we're going to be pretty excited. And to start off, Stoner, like we saw the video of you and Trev and your reactions. It seemed to be a tale of two halves, but can you just describe what you were feeling during this game?
Well, I was trying to do that video so that it was only a minute long, so we could make a short out of it, right? And the shorts can only be a minute, a little behind the scenes look there. So I cut out a lot of stuff, but some of the stuff that you didn't see where at the beginning when we were losing, Trev made that statement. He said, we're losing this game. We're definitely losing this game. And that's how it felt. We were down 14-3 in the first half, and Heinicke's throwing interceptions and fumbling and luckily getting it back, but everything going wrong, throwing behind guys, throwing late to guys, almost getting picked off just about every time he went back to throw. And you just had that feeling. And I think the very first reaction on there was like, here we go again. We get down. We can never start hot, start strong. And so at the beginning, that's exactly how we felt. Everybody felt it. I know you felt it at the stadium, right?
Yeah,
the whole
absolutely.
crowd was feeling that at the beginning.
Yeah, it was exactly that. It was just this turmoil. I mean, I really expected on that last play, especially for them to run it in. I was just like, this is just going to happen. This is just how it works for us as Washington fans. But yeah, at the beginning, I mean, it just didn't seem, like things were, I know you guys kind of talked about, I was able to pop a little bit in while I was at the stadium, that we caught all the breaks in the first half and still were down.
Yeah.
But I really didn't feel that way at the stadium. I felt like we were just kicking ourselves in the butt. Like we didn't catch many breaks, I felt a little bit good at half because, realistically, even though it was 14-10, it was, defense had only given up that one touchdown. So the defense was keeping us in it. And I was just like, if we can just turn around the second half, we can do something worthwhile here.
Yeah.
OG DMV, this is live. It's always live. Thanks for joining us here. Redskins 007 in here. Appreciate you joining as well. We will have, by the way, tonight's guest for today is going to be Lynell Willingham, host of the Burgundy and Gold Today on Team 980, and also the host of the Burgundy and Gold Gameday live on 106.7 The Fan. So look forward to him joining us here in a little bit. But yeah, it was exciting. I had a lot of Washington fans around me, and we were getting pumped.
Well, I would hope so. You're at FedEx.
Talking about, you would hope so, but there was a lot of green there.
Yeah,
it was not, not surprising. Green Bay fans do travel. They still have Aaron Rodgers, so they still have hope that this is going to be a season where they make the playoffs and maybe make a run, even if things aren't going in the direction that they would like them to go right now after losing 3 in a row. But we've won 2 in a row. And I think that, some people still aren't quite feeling like Washington's moving in the right direction. Do you feel that way, Stoner? Where do you feel like we're trending upwards? Are we plateauing? Where are we at after this back-to-back win?
Well, I don't know if I want to make a whole statement about where this team is and where it's going throughout the season, right? I mean, can I just enjoy this win? Right?
Yes.
I mean, look, we don't know. We don't know where this team is going. We don't know if Taylor Heinicke is going to be able to get this team going all the way into contention towards the end. We don't know. But for this one particular week, he led this team to a victory. And it's sometimes it's really, we talk about intangibles sometimes, right? And that used to be a big thing, the skin tangibles. Remember back in the day, we always had the advantage over other teams because of skin tangibles.
Yeah.
But Taylor Heinicke brings intangibles, and you can't measure that. You can't sit there and grade that. But he does something with his teammates and the energy that he brings, that these guys believe in him. And in this particular game, that's exactly what happened. The team rallied behind him. The team made plays for him. And when they did, their emotion came out, right? You didn't see that. That's the first time we've seen that from Terry McLaurin this year for sure. And I don't remember when we saw it last year towards the end of the season when everything just kind of got away from them. But you felt that. And these guys talk about it. You see it. There's a reason that you have that that GIF of Chase Young pointing to the back of Heinicke's jersey and screaming his name and talking. They love this guy. And I don't know what that means for the entire year. But I know for this game, these guys stood behind him when he was down in that first half, and they rallied because they believe in his ability to at least give everything he's got. And as some people don't like to say or do like to say, he's got that moxie.
Yeah,
he just does.
He's an underdog, right? And it's hard not to cheer for the. Of course, Mandalorian. I got the onesie on. He's an underdog, and people like cheering for an underdog. And you're right. I think a lot of people are trying to make this into, we've got a quarterback debate right now. It's like, let's just enjoy the victory.
Yeah.
And plus, it's hard to say that we got to. How dire are we if we have a quarterback debate after one game? Where the quarterback threw a pick six and 201 yards.
Yeah, I know, right? Right.
That's like, I realize Wentz didn't, exactly light the world on fire in the 6 games that he had to show. But like, let's pump the brakes on that. Let's just enjoy this victory because as we've seen a lot of comments here, this was a team victory.
Yeah.
The defense held it down. The defense did what it needed to do.
Fantastic.
The offense came alive in the second half. I feel like they were rocking and rolling, and there were some really good things coming from this offense. What did you like from the offense? You said you liked some of that fire and the team rallying around, but was there any other specific moment that you can kind of, pull back from that you're like, this is it? This is how we should win?
Nathan, I'm going to tell you something. And I wanted to hold out till later in the show, but I can't hold it in any longer. And I'm going to make a statement, okay? I'm going to say something that is going to turn the NFL world upside down, okay? That's how big this statement is that I'm going to make, okay? I don't like making declarative statements halfway through a season, okay? This is big. You got that drum roll, that horrific drum roll over there?
Horrific drum roll? Yeah, I can pull it up.
Or did you bring a new one in?
I have the other one, I think. Hold on.
This is big.
You want that one, or do you want the?
I want the drum roll, not the making a joke.
I don't have that one. I got rid of that one because somebody said he didn't like it anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
You want a conspiracy theory music?
No.
Or how about this?
All right. This is huge, y'all. For real. The NFL. I'm looking right into the camera. The NFL is no longer a quarterback-driven league. Okay, listen. Okay, don't give me the bum or whatever. Don't give me any of that.
Don't give you this one?
Yeah, listen. It's changing. The NFL is changing right before our eyes. And if you look at all of the teams, especially in the NFC, what do they do well? What do these teams, the best teams, okay, what do they do well? They run the ball. They control the clock. They convert third downs, and they don't turn the ball over. It's no longer that you have to have a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and all these old guys that are doing terrible, by the way, the Russell Wilsons, the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Bradys, who are basically done, right? Maybe Joe Burrow can fit into that first category. You don't need those anymore. Now, if you have those, great. You can overcome a lot of deficiencies on your team with a great quarterback, no matter what. That's been the history of football as long as we've known it. But it's changing again. It's going back to the way it was in the 80s and in the 90s. Defensively, you stop the run. Offensively, you run. Defensively, you create turnovers. Offensively, you stop the turnovers. Okay? That's just the way things are going. That's who the best teams are this year. Jalen Hurts is not a great quarterback. Everyone wants to put him in the MVP race. He's not a great quarterback. He runs that offense to perfection, though. And it's a college offense. And a lot of people don't like when I say that. But it's a college offense because they're doing RPOs all the time, and he's throwing horizontal passes. right? He's just throwing quick, couple yards behind the line of scrimmage half the time. I did the chart against Washington. He had like 3 completions downfield past 7 yards. And 2 of them were 50-50 balls that were not great throws. Okay? But he's doing it to perfection because they're running the ball. They're controlling the clock. That's what they're doing. That's what the Giants are doing. That's what the Cowboys are doing. Dak Prescott came back. He threw for 207 yards, and they ran the ball 38 times, something like that. How did Washington win yesterday, which is your original question? They won because they ran the ball, they controlled the clock, and they stopped Green Bay from running the ball. And that, my friend, is the new NFL. And if you can't get on board, you're going to have to follow somebody else because that's the way it's going.
Same as it ever was.
Yeah, it's just going back. Sure. Again, the quarterback is going to mask a lot of your deficiencies. So if you can't do those things,
a good QB can fix a bad offensive line, right?
Exactly. But you don't have to anymore. I just don't think you have to have that quarterback anymore. You have to have the guys in the trenches being successful there. And that's what Washington did. That's how they won this game. Look at the time of possession. Did we double them in time of possession?
We doubled them in time of possession. I got another great stat for you in this
the
one
rushing
here.
yards.
Possession 37 minutes for Washington, 22:53 for Green Bay.
Yeah.
Speaking of the rushing yards, you want to know, this is the fun stat I have for you. They had 38 yards rushing. We had 38 carries.
That's right. That's exactly right.
We had 166 yards, by the way, on the ground.
They had the same rushing yards as the number of carries that we had. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the 3 wins this year, Washington had a minimum of 28 rushes in each of those 3 wins. I believe they had 28, 28, and 38 in those 3 wins. And in their 4 losses, all of them below 28 rushing attempts. Mm-hmm. It's the new NFL. There's no more Tom Brady's and Russell Wilson's and Aaron Rodgers. Those guys are on their way out. You've got 2 or 3 or maybe 4 superior quarterbacks now, and everybody else has got an average quarterback, and now they're figuring out how to win with it.
I think
you tell me Daniel Jones is a great quarterback, but they're 6-1. He ran for 107 yards yesterday.
I think you can even go back to just last year, right? Like, not saying Stafford isn't a great quarterback. I mean, I think he's a good quarterback, maybe not a great quarterback, but what won that game was the defensive line versus a very weak offensive line.
That's right.
So again,
and
you
even
can overcome those Da Vinci's.
That was Tampa's defense that won that game, that Super Bowl. That was
Tampa's defense. Peyton Manning's victory with Denver.
Yeah,
that guy had about as good of an arm as Taylor Heinicke when he won.
right.
But it was the defense. And that's how Washington won yesterday, was and this is interesting to say, and this is why you shouldn't just look at the box score on some things. They recorded 0 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like
yesterday.
Washington recorded 0 sacks against Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Something that we all felt like they needed to get after Rodgers to win.
Yeah.
And they pressured him and they made him uncomfortable, but they never got to him.
Yeah.
But they stopped the run. They forced Rodgers to become, and the Green Bay Packers become one-sided, one-dimensional rather. And their passing game just wasn't
Yeah.
good enough. Aaron Rodgers threw for less yards than Taylor Heinicke.
Wow.
Who would have put money on Taylor Heinicke out QBing Aaron Rodgers? Now, if you look at some of the advanced, statistics, QBR, the ratings and whatnot, they side with Rodgers. I don't know how much that pick 6 comes into play there. I know that the sack has some kind of effect on that as well, but I mean, in the end, you really do have Taylor Heinicke winning a QB battle against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's the Packers' longest play. How long this defense for Washington is known for giving up chunk plays, right? And they've been able to kind of fix that over the last few weeks. And we've talked about it since the schedule came out in March or whenever it was, that this schedule is easy. Nothing's easy, but easier, especially than
on the
last
lighter
year.
side for the NFL.
So you're going to play quarterbacks like, I don't know, Sam Ellinger, or however you say his last name. And, all these quarterbacks that they've played, the Jared Goffs and the Justin Fields and all that. You still got to play Aaron Rodgers. But their defense has stepped up this year after the first couple of games when they were horrible. And
we were all ready to fire Jack Del Rio.
Yam was ready. He was trying to get that hashtag trend in the fire JDR. And, I haven't heard that much from you about that, Yam, lately, about the fire JDR. But the Packers' longest play, do you know how long their longest play was? Yesterday?
28 yards.
33. 33.
On a return?
Was their last play when they were throwing it all over the place, when they threw it downfield, and that was a 33-yard gain. That was their longest play of the day. So Washington's defense did a number on Green Bay. Now, Green Bay helped them out. Those receivers were dropping everything. I went back and I watched and I started looking at all the drops they had, and I stopped at 5 of pure drops, not contested drops. Just pure drops, just right in their hands, dropped it. So they certainly didn't help him. But even Aaron Rodgers, first ballot Hall of Fame, top 5 quarterback of his entire generation, he couldn't overcome their deficiencies that they had on their line because they couldn't run and their defense couldn't stop the run. And that was the blueprint for them to win that game yesterday. And they did. And now next week's another whole thing. We'll figure that out on Wednesday when we talk about the next game. But for this game, run the ball, stop the run. You're going to win the game. And that's what they do.
Yam says he's still posting it and puts out the hashtag fire JDR and then says, I think the players are carrying JDR just my 2 yen. Some yennies out there. I disagree with that though. I think that that the players are carrying him. I think that you got to give credit. If you're
going to kill him first,
we're going to kill him now, maybe Yam, you can take it how I see some people talking about, because we're going to shift over to Jamin Davis being a legit NFL linebacker in a moment. Mm-hmm. But people are trying to say that Jamin responded to being called out publicly, and this is him balling out because of that. Maybe all of you and the fire JDR and stuff, maybe that's Jack Del Rio saying, okay, I got to get my stuff together and put it there. Probably not, but things are coming together for that defense. Things are coming together for Jamin Davis. Mm-hmm. Wow. What a difference. And I felt that, you guys were pretty harsh on him. Trev especially was calling him a bust at the begining of the year. And I was like, you can't do that.
Right.
The kid's going to start his second season.
Mm-hmm.
You can't call him a bust yet. I don't think he had a rough couple of first games, but a lot of people were pointing to him, and obviously part of those people were the coaching staff pointing to him as being a reason why they weren't doing well. Now you can point to him as one of the reasons why they are doing well. I mean, he is just flying all over the field right now.
And it looks like he's playing on instinct,
right?
Which is that's what you do when you finally figured it out, when the light bulb goes off. You're just playing on instinct, and you know what's coming rather than trying to figure it out and then reacting. So he's definitely, you've seen that. You've seen him hitting holes when he's supposed to hit the holes. But, like in that first drive that Green Bay had, their second rush, I think. I mean, he just flew into that hole and pummeled, I think it was Dylan. It was either Dylan or Jones, whichever. They got 2 running backs. But yeah, I agree. He's figured it out somehow. And even yesterday, he was the 3rd highest rated defender, I believe.
On PFF,
or no, I think it was on the whole team. He might have been the 3rd highest rated player for that game. Now, whatever, PFF. We got some. I have issues with PFF, but whatever. So he's figured something out. And I also think that 3rd game is when Cam Curl came back, right? And Cam Curl really,
he's a difference maker. When you're talking about top 5 PFF, that's Cam Curl's in that category.
He's number 1.
He's still the number one ranked safety in the league right now.
And
that's how good.
And by the way,
Cam Curl's
Derek
playing.
Force is number 5. So as a tandem, they're the number 1 defensive rated by PFF safety tandem in the entire NFL.
Yeah, I love seeing Defoe out there. He is so good. And every time I see him subbed off for looks like Rodgers man Wild Goose, I shiver a little bit. Now, Wild Goose had some good moments. He also had a couple missed tackles that were very, very frustrating to watch. So I'm not going to give kudos to Wild Goose just yet, but I am going to recognize that this is a guy who was picked up off of another team. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who was originally your 4th, a 4th on the depth chart.
Yeah.
And now is forced into playing action. And for that, I think he is playing well. I can understand why people will back him. I mean, this is the same group of fans who we backed Jimmy Moreland.
Right.
Who's another one that one of these cornerbacks that's playing Moreau.
Yeah. Like Fabian Moreau, right.
So, it is what it is, but the defense is just playing super well. You got, I love seeing the lock it up
and Juice locking them down
with St. Juice.
But you know what, Nathan? And we want to talk about how great this win was. But let's not fool ourselves either that these last 3 offenses, these wide receivers, are garbage, right? Oh, that's exactly what Tim's saying.
Tim's saying here in the
they're
thing,
garbage.
Defense is not against trash offenses.
But that's fine. We talked about that all off season, that this is an easier schedule. So you have to take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, they had. Now, they didn't beat Tennessee, but it's not like Ryan Tannehill was thrown all over them. Right. He wasn't very good. But yes, we haven't faced great offense. So let's see what happens when Kirk Cousins and Jefferson and Thielen and Dalvin Cook come in and start running that offense. That could get scary. But for right now, for the teams that they're playing right in front of them right now, the defense has been outstanding. And that's something that you can appreciate and you can enjoy for the time being. And we'll figure it out next week when it's Indianapolis. And we'll figure it out in 2 weeks when it's Minnesota, and so on and so forth. But for right now, for this game, the defense was outstanding. The DBs were outstanding. The linebackers, everybody played outstanding. They only gave up 14 points. Of course, the other one was the pick 6.
The pick 6.
That's not against the defense on that.
No. But it is something that they have to, fix, right? We can't give up those kind of points on offense. And I mean, it's still the defense has to work extra hard at that point, which they did. They had to work extra hard trying to prevent, them to come within 1 score. And then they had to defend that last, the lateral play that was just absolutely just nerve wracking. Now, You're talking about the offense of the trash offenses. Now, I know the day after reckoning, we like to look at the game before, but as far as we say this all the time here on Ref the District, you can only play who's in front of you, right? You play who's on the schedule.
That's right.
That's who you got. That's who, if they're trash offenses, then you can't make them look like good offenses.
That's right.
And right now, they're not making them look like good offenses. They're making them look like trash offenses. The only teams I'm seeing on the rest of the way, as it currently stands, within the top 10 offenses are the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cleveland Browns on the roster.
You scared of Cleveland?
I'm not scared of Cleveland, especially because their strength is the rushing attack. And while Chubb is an amazing running back, that's the strength of this defense, is stopping the run.
That's right. So, yeah, nobody really scared. I mean, I think Minnesota does. I think Minnesota's going to come here and they're going to put up some points. Okay.
I was surprised to see Minnesota being ranked as low as it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're actually behind the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, really? I can't wait to talk about the Colts on Wednesday because that's a hilarious story. Everything that's going on over there. But yeah, for this game, they played extremely well. We'll take it game by game. And that's what there was that season 2 years ago in 2020 when we had a top 5 rated defense because we were playing Ben DiNucci and we were playing, who was the San Francisco backup that they had? Can't even remember his name. who threw a pick six to Curl and
Mullins, wasn't it? Nick Mullins?
Yeah, Nick Mullins, right? Chase Young had a fumble return for a touchdown. That's who we played. We played terrible offenses, and the defense took advantage of that, and the team won and played fairly well and made the playoffs at 7-9, whatever. But they still did. And then last year, you played the Herberts and the Mahomes and the Russell Wilson at his peak and the Bradys and all that stuff, and you got your ass kicked, and the defense was terrible. And now this year, you've got the softer schedule, and you're playing lesser quarterbacks, the Lawrences and Goffs and Fields and Tennant, all that stuff, and the defense is playing better. That's all a part of it. I don't think this defense is great at all. I think they're mediocre at best. But again, yesterday, what they had in front of them, they played great yesterday. The defense did. And that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, the couple notes here with the comments. Vikings have a strong offense with the healthy Dalvin Cook.
Oh,
absolutely. That one, I do think that one's going to be a challenge. Yam with talking about how they played against the Lions. Two things with that. Lions currently are the fourth. This is by yards by game, so it's not exactly the best stat, but fourth best offense in that regard. And Washington didn't stop them. You're right. But they also didn't have Cam Curl, a player that we're pointing out as being a difference maker.
Yeah.
And so I think those are some of the things that kind of do that. And Gus Bus comes up here with another, again, because this is a feel-good Monday, a victory Monday here. Wasn't it so nice to have a 2-possession lead in the fourth quarter? Absolutely. Even with facing Aaron Rodgers, you just felt good having them to have to score 2 possessions. And I calculated this up because I felt like this was a very kind of important thing as we talk about the defense. That scoring drive of theirs for the touchdown, the one that brought them within 2 points and set the green side of FedEx Field up in a stir, they only gained before the touchdown pass, which admittedly was a 21-yard to Aaron Jones there. But before that touchdown strike, they'd only gained 27 yards of offense and were held multiple third down attempts there, which we bailed them out on. We had 27 yards in penalties on that drive to their 27 yards. Yeah, it was split right down the middle until that 21-yard strike by Aaron Rodgers. And obviously one of those was the 18-yard pass interference one, which was just egregious by Kendall Fuller, who made up for it with an excellent play later. But you just can't gift them those and normally come out on the victory side. But they did today. The team is 3-4. Very excited about that. It looks like our guest is ready, and we are ready to bring him in.
He's not ready yet.
He's not ready yet.
I'll hit you up when he's ready. He's having some internet trouble, so.
All right. And he is in his car, so I don't think we're going to have this will be audio only from Lynell here. Maybe. It looks like now he's getting back in the background. I'll let you do the introduction then and all that good stuff for when he's ready as we shift here for the offensive side of the ball. Now, you're talking about how good they were running it. I said in the beginning, and people kind of were like, oh, okay, we'll see. Because everyone was getting really high on Brian Robinson Jr. as being the lead back, which he was yesterday, 20 carries, 73 yards there. But I continuously said Antonio Gibson is still going to be the most productive back that Washington has this season. And he was 10 carries, 59 yards, got in the passing game as well with 3 catches for 18 yards and a touchdown. I think that he is just a very special player. And the more Washington can get him the ball, the better we're going to do. And that actually plays out in, when you're looking at when they win when he's involved in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was not just Gibson. Robinson ran it well, and I think he only had like 3.7 per carry.
Yeah, it wasn't especially good, but it was efficient. 3.7. So you're going to get a first down that way.
Yeah, but he was also the guy who, in the fourth quarter, when you're making sure that you don't fumble the ball, that's who was getting the ball, right? They were getting it to Robinson, who has never fumbled. I don't think he ever fumbled in college, not one time. And of course, he's only played a couple games in the NFL, but he's never fumbled. So he was the guy getting the ball in the end there when they were just trying to run out the clock, which is interesting. But Gibson was working in there as well a couple of times.
Yeah, and Gibson, for the record, had really good ball control. He hasn't done that this season. And I think it was Pete Haley shared a clip where just a very subtle thing. Gibson was running by a defender and somebody kind of reached his hand out there and Gibson put that other hand over the ball. And then he went right back into the full running motion as soon as he was by them. So that ball, it's getting in his mind, ball security, right? He's going to do that. Gus Bus asked the question, do you think Rivera gives B-Rob the Gibson treatment if the refs rule that play a fumble, meaning does he bench B-Rob the way we saw last year with Gibson?
Probably not, just because, that's one time. Gibson's was a pattern over the last year and a half or whatever. So probably not. But was it a fumble, by the way?
No.
I mean, if they had called it a fumble and we
it was one of those ones you weren't going to have the conclusive evidence either way.
Either way.
I agree. Metaphors talking about B-Rob being nice, though one near the end that he could have busted on the outside where they could have scored a TD, ended up settling for a field goal. I agree, man. I was screaming. There was just so much. I was obviously when the play's hot and I'm going to trust my player, but it looked like there was just nothing but grass there to the outside.
I don't even remember that one.
If he could just, there was another play where he cut the wrong way. He cut into two guys rather than cutting outside. And it was just like, man, if he would have just went the other way, they probably still get him, but it was probably like an extra 2-3 yards. He could have dragged some players, but he is fun to watch. And I think he's only going to get a little bit better as they're going to go on here. So we will have Lynell joining us here right now. He will be audio only as he's out celebrating with some family. So we'll talk to him about that. Pull him up here, get that audio. So this again, folks, is going to be Lynell Willingham, host of Burgundy and Gold Today on the Team 980 and host of Burgundy and Gold Game Day live on 106.7 The Fan. Appreciate you joining us, Lynell. Thank you here on
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Doing great. Cool. It's a Victory Monday.
I hear that. That's awesome. I like that, man. I'm sorry about the audio, about the having only the audio, man. I'm celebrating my uncle's birthday. We have people over, so
how old's your uncle?
My car.
How old's your uncle?
My uncle he's turning 53.
Oh my goodness!
Happy birthday to your uncle.
My age. I'm 53. Good Lord. He's your uncle. You could be my nephew.
Look, he's a Cowboys fan, so we don't. Yeah.
Okay, well, I retract my happy birthday comments.
Take that away.
It's a really interesting discussion, though, man. I've been listening, and it's our fan base is so fickle, man.
Oh, I'm
curious to see how you guys felt Taylor Heinicke played overall yesterday, because I think it's good to we won. But I wanted to do other people think that style of play is sustainable offensively?
Here's what I didn't understand about that style of play. As you talked about, they didn't do anything different than they did with Carson Wentz. There was no, you know what I mean? There were no sort of run plays that were worked into it or anything like that for him. It was the same offense. And I thought that they would do a little bit different. So I would like to see them. I would like to see Scott Turner and Ron and them kind of get some different style plays for a different style quarterback.
Right. I just feel like Scott Turner right now feels like, and I know we're all really hard on him in the media, I feel like he feels as if he's limited because of this offensive line. And they talked about all summer about how they wanted to be this vertical passing attack. Even before Carson Wentz got injured, he was bottom 3 in the NFL in yards per attempt. So you weren't really seeing it. You'd see it in spurts. But, when I say that style of play not being sustainable, they want to play this 3 yards in a cloud of dust brand of football, But when you have holding and you make them holding penalties and you make the mistakes that they make, it's hard to try to continue to run the ball, because when you're not in favorable down and distances, it just becomes difficult at that point. And I just don't think he has enough. And we saw this last year. He doesn't have enough arm talent to really run the whole playbook, probably. I think Scott's probably limited in what he's calling. The shot play that he took to Terry yesterday, notice the protection was good. A guy got free late, but he stood in there. The picture has gone viral. Closed his eyes and let it fly. Like
a hope and a prayer.
That's what he's got to do to push the ball down the field. And I think that's another reason why his teammates and stuff admire him, because I'm not going to lie, Carson Wentz might eat that ball, and that's a sack. So
Carson Wentz eats that ball. 100%.
Yeah. And that's why the guys, I feel like, rally around, Taylor Heinicke. That the moxie and toughness thing, it's real. Especially, when you're in a locker room with a guy and you see how hard he's working, and he's physically not the strongest guy, but like they all say and talk about him, he comes out there and gives you, everything he's freaking got. So you got to go to war with the guy.
You heard us a lot of that discussion on the defensive side of the ball. Some of our listeners are trying to say that the players are kind of carrying Jack Del Rio. Where do you think that's coming from? Do you think that it's a mixture, or the players finally doing their part and Jack Del Rio has been right all along, or how's this defense kind of come alive here in the last few games?
I've always been of the mind, it's a combination of things. For one, it's a multi-layered situation, I feel like, but I've always been of the mindset, Jack Del Rio doesn't blow coverages. Jack Del Rio doesn't get out of his rush lane. So to blame it all on him is kind of unfair. You notice that really the shift in this defense's performance has come with the personnel change of Benjamin St-Juste going to the outside corner. The unheralded guy of this whole thing, I feel like, is Rashad Wildgoose. He's come in there and been steady at the slot corner spot. And it's so impressive to me because the fact that he's able to pick up this defense that quickly, he's only been here, 6-7 weeks. They signed him on cutdown day. So, he hasn't had a lot of time to get familiar with stuff, but he's ready when his number is called. And, that's what you want. And, that's where I want to give kudos to Ron Rivera and those guys, because they get a lot of heat for a lot of the stuff that they do, deservedly so most of the time, I would say. But, when you find diamonds in the rough like Rashad Wildgoose, that helps, catapult a turnaround defensively. Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne have been playing like all pros at defensive tackle all season.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Montez Sweat has started to take advantage of some of the matchups he's gotten in the past couple of weeks. So you see him coming alive. The one thing that I was, still discouraged about, and then they cleaned it up completely against Green Bay, the big plays were still happening during that stretch where they were turning it around. But this past Sunday against Green Bay, it was just like, wow, this is what we all envisioned, this defense being.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this about let's kind of switch it over to the offensive side. And I mentioned early on in our show here that it seems to me, I did it a little bit with a little bit more bravado, but it seems to me that the NFL is getting away from this quarterback-driven league, and now it's all about having that solid run game and stopping the run and converting third downs. What they did in the 80s and in the 90s and in the early 2000s, and that you no longer have to have this incredible quarterback anymore. You just have to control the line of scrimmage. Do you kind of see that trend, or are you saying or do you think it's still you got to have the right quarterback?
I think it's always been a combination of both. I'm a former Division III defensive end, so I believe in the trenches, specifically on the offensive side, man. It doesn't matter how good the quarterback is. If the offensive line can't protect him and give him time to be special and make those special plays, it doesn't really matter. I think those two positions go hand in hand, which is why you see, left tackle being one of the highest paid positions in football, along with, quarterback, because they're so vital to the success of the quarterback. But I still think if you just look at the past couple Super Bowls, you see who's in it, the most talented quarterbacks in football. Now, Matt Stafford got there last year. That's a case of putting everything around a guy and having him be successful that way, which is interesting because they're paying Matt Stafford a pretty penny to be propped up the way I feel like he is. And you see this year they're struggling because they've lost some of those key pieces up front because of financial reasons. But I think it goes hand in hand. I do agree with you, though. You can win in the regular season, I feel like, playing that 3 yards in the cloud of dust football. But eventually, when you get in obvious passing situations, you're going to have a quarterback that can make big boy throws. And I just think relative to Washington, Taylor Heinicke's not that. And we know that he's not that.
Right.
He going back to the play in the first half, he almost played them completely out of that football game. Because think about it. If those calls stand and they go down, 21-10, you can't run the football anymore. Really, you're being put into more obvious passing situations, and that's when we see this team, make mistakes with holding penalties and things like that. And we just know, like, from a physical standpoint, he's just limited with what he could do.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot, and you kind of see that with that pick six that he had. Was just, it wasn't a good pass. It was too slow to get there.
Yeah. It's laughable almost, because the discussion I'm doing the post game and stuff and just hearing people talk about it, it's almost like it's fascinating. Like, people, it shows you how quickly a town and a fan base can get cultivated by a story. I think people are more in love with the story of Taylor Heinicke than the actual player, because I was pulling my hair out in the first half watching him. I mean, he should have thrown his first 7 balls, 4 of them should have legitimately been picked off. And that's tough to stomach and watch, because it's like, man, you see the differences though, right? He's going to the right spot every time. Carson Wentz wasn't always going to the right place with the football. So I think that's the benefit you get from Heinicke. But you see, I tried to blame it on the jitters at first, but he's just inaccurate. Even the ball he threw to Cole Turner, he got him hurt. If you don't float that ball to Cole Turner, he doesn't get a concussion. And now you put your team in a bind. And I know it's not directly correlated, but it kind of is.
Yeah,
tough. He put you in some tough spots.
There was one of those hospital balls last year that from Heinicke that took Terry McLaurin out. One of those things, though, you brought up Cole Turner kind of going out, was Armani Rodgers. Couple things with him. One, they ran this kind of trick play with Armani Rodgers in the QB position, and then he came in there and I felt played adequate as when called into action for Cole Turner. Where are you at with our tight end group as Logan Thomas continues to be out? When do they expect him coming back in? And is he even needed if Cole Turner's healthy and Armani Rodgers healthy?
So the way it looks right now, because we don't really have too much of an update on Cole Turner, I think Logan is needed in that case to be depth. But if I was to just go from a pure 1 through 4 on the tight end depth chart, I think Cole Turner is probably this team's best, most well-rounded tight end. I think he's very underrated as a blocker as well. There were some plays that popped in the running game yesterday directly because of him. They're pulling him across the formation. And the fact that they have the trust to do that with a young guy shows you that he competes when as a blocker. And that's all that really matters sometimes, is getting in a guy's way. But Logan Thomas isn't better than Cole Turner right now to me. Even when Logan Thomas was out there, I don't know if this is because he was hurt. It just looks as if he's lost a step. I wonder if you guys agree with that. He's just not. He's a tick slower than what he was, and he already wasn't the fastest guy in the world anyway. A lot of his stuff was winning based off of body leverage and position and things like that. So it's interesting. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ever have a 6'8" guy, in the red zone. So I'm not saying get rid of him or anything like that, but at this point in time, I think he should not be the featured tight end of this passing game. Heck no. I think Cole Turner's an emerging star.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot, Lynell. That's my last question for you before I let you go. Put you on the spot. Let's say Taylor Heinicke plays exactly the same way for the next 3 weeks, okay? And they end up in the next 3 weeks going 1-2, okay? So a 2-2 overall for the 4 weeks, assuming Carson comes back after 4 weeks and he's ready to go. What are you doing? You going back to Carson, or are you gonna stick it out with Heinicke?
Well, if he plays the way he played last week, because I feel like my opinion kind of differs on his performance from yesterday than everybody else's. I still am of the belief that he tried to throw us out of that football game in the first half. And if he plays like that next week against Indianapolis, what if their DBs and linebackers don't drop those interceptable balls? Now you're talking about a whole completely different complexion of the football game. So if we're talking about it from that standpoint, if he plays like that, I'm not only not going back to Taylor Heinicke, I'm going to Sam Howell, because I think it would be irresponsible for this group to go into this offseason without getting a fair look at Sam Howell and what he is. And at this point, what Carson Wentz is. I think they were really, I want to see if you guys agree with this, I think they're probably really thrown off and caught off guard by his lack of mobility when they got him here. Because just you saw it even with the Taylor Heinicke's not the most mobile guy in the world. He's just not Carson Wentz, and he's not Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's more mobile than Dwayne was. So it was a different change of pace for us as fans to see that here with our quarterback. Carson was a statue back there. Taylor Heinicke gives you a better chance to win with him than him strictly because of the offensive line. So that I just don't think he could do it. I would go give Sam Howell an opportunity to see if he can do it, because he can't be much worse.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. You brought up Carson being a statue. I just remember that designed run in the at like the 5-yard line for him. Just my goodness, it looked like we were running Tom Brady out there. Yeah. And not as a passer, but as a runner. As far as you kind of brought it up, how you feel about how Taylor Heinicke played. I said it, earlier in the show. But I mean, it's weird to me that people are calling for a quarterback controversy right now with a guy who threw for 200 yards and had a pick 6. Yeah, like this isn't like he didn't throw for 4 touchdowns and 350 yards and masterfully did the offense. But
what if he plays exactly like this and goes 4-0 over these 4 weeks? Are you still setting him down?
Well, if he's winning, you can't justify it to the locker room making a switch, I feel like. So
yeah,
that just comes with the territory of being the winning starting quarterback. You all know how that goes.
Okay.
But
I'm just making sure we're not crazy here. Okay.
Yeah, you're the one. Stoner's the one who put him at 2-2 and was just like, oh, you're going to go back to of course you're going to move off of Taylor Heinicke. He throws for 200 yards and it got us to 2-2. But
I'll say this: I feel like they have a real chance to beat Indianapolis. I'm not a fan of what they got going on over there at all, and I think it's kind of karma a little bit because I do think they did Carson Wentz kind of dirty, but. Looking at him, the play is not there, but I don't think he's any type of bad guy in your locker room or anything like that. And that's how he was painted this offseason.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of negative press around Carson Wentz as a bad teammate, but everything shows otherwise. And I think what is interesting, and maybe this will be my last question for you before we let you go party with the cowboy uncle of yours, but the team does rally around Taylor Heinicke in a way that you don't necessarily see them rallying around Carson Wentz. I likened it to being the underdog story, where everyone just loves cheering for an underdog. How long does that continue if he throws just 200 yards with a pick every game? How long do you think that they're going to continue rallying around this mentality of him throwing into, double coverage or behind or getting the wide receivers injured? How long can that good grace last here with Taylor Heinicke?
Our buddy Stoner laid it out perfectly. As long as the W's keep flowing, everything's good. But the moment you start losing, that's when it becomes much easier to pull the plug.
Sounds good. Well, then we just have to keep on winning. And of course,
one week at a time, man. One week
That's
at a
right.
time.
Yeah, that's right. Next week's Indianapolis. I feel good about that too. Lynell feels pretty good about that, and you can hear more from him because he's the host of Burgundy and Gold Today on the Team 980, and he also hosts the Burgundy and Gold Gameday live on 106.7 The Fan. Lynell, we appreciate you jumping in here with us on Ref the District. You have a good night. Get piece of cake for both Stoner and I, and you can go ahead and wish your uncle a happy birthday, even if he cheers for the wrong team.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. It was fun.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.
Let's get back to the chat here. We have ourselves a victory tip from the great Watubi there. We should send everything after the rookie QB this week. I'm telling you, they are salivating. The defensive line is there. They are like Christmas came early. We can do something just real quick here. It's not a rookie QB. Sam was drafted last year, but I believe this is his first start. So so there's that. So
we're gonna talk about it more on Wednesday. But I've already come up with the game plan to beat Indy. I'm putting 8 dudes right at the line of scrimmage. Right in that box. All right. I'm putting 5 down linemen, 3 linebackers. If that Cam Curl's the third, that's fine. And then I'm going 1-on-1 with their receivers in the back. And I'm stopping Jonathan Taylor and I'm stopping their quarterback from running because he's got a little wiggle to him. So we'll talk about that more on Wednesday. But
yeah,
I'm seriously,
Wednesday will be the Colts one. Yeah, it's going to be, oh man. Maybe we shouldn't to get too far ahead of ourselves. Washington still has a lot to prove. One of those things, like we talked about them running the ball. We have been kind of harsh a little bit on Taylor Heinicke. He did have some good throws there. The touchdown to Gibson was good. The touchdown to Terry McLaurin was good. Is there, besides the running game, what on the offense do you felt was something we can look forward to, Stoner, going forward?
Wow, on the offense? I mean, I did like the play calling for most of the game. When they got in the red zone, I don't know why Scott Turner keeps throwing it. When you when you just keep running the ball down the field and you have these long sustained drives. They had a 12-player, I believe, in the first 12-play drive in the first half, 11-play drive in the second half because they're running the ball. And then they get inside the 5 and he's throwing fades to Cole Turner and he's just, I don't know what's going on there. And so I liked what he was doing though. He had creativity, right? He had guys moving all over the place. He had Samuel in the backfield. Samuel was getting tired out there, just like he was in game 1. Mm-hmm. Trev and I were even talking about it. There was one time where he came across on a pre-snap motion from right to left, and you could see him. He was like, oh my God, I'm tired. And then all of a sudden he looks behind him and he sees Robinson coming. He's like, I gotta go block somebody, and he does. And he goes out and he pummels.
He did a good job.
And then he does this. He does this. He's like, I need out. I need some rest here for a second. But that's because they're using him in so many different ways and with so much different motion. That's what we want. But there is still, I don't think, enough plays to where you had the threat of Heinicke running. And that's what makes him different than Carson Wentz in a positive way. We know he can't make a lot of those throws. He made a couple of them, but he can't make them consistently. So do what he does best. Give him the opportunity to succeed and get him some run plays in there. I understand if he gets out there and he gets pummeled, and then next thing you know, you got Sam Howell coming in, and then you're in trouble. But
there's, and Lynell talked about it as well there. I mean, it's not like Heinicke is like a running threat, really. I mean, he's not Lamar Jackson.
No. But he's got wiggle to him, man.
He does. And he's also a shorter guy. This is one of the things I was a little frustrated. I know we're trying to talk about something positive about the offense. But, I mean, the defense, the Green Bay defense had 6 passes defended, and some of those were bats down at the line. Like, you got to move him out of the pocket.
Yeah.
So he can see the field more clearly. I know you're only going to get kind of half the field that way, but it is it would be interesting, like to see it and kind of move those around. What I liked from the play calling aspect, I've been very hard on Scott Turner. I don't think I'm not ready to change my mind that he has not been doing well as a play caller, but we did see some excitement in there, right? I brought up that Armani Rodgers as the QB. Yeah. It wasn't successful, but I want to see more of it. When I saw him, when Armani Rodgers came out, I was just like, oh, they're going to put a tight end out there, big target, and it's going to be good. And then all of a sudden, Armani Rodgers is taking the snap. And I was just like, I'm holding on my seat because it was down on my side of the field. And I'm like, oh, what do we got here? We had him flanked by Curtis Samuel and Rodgers. And I was just like, you had the world at your disposal there with that. And then we never saw it again.
Yeah.
And
you saw it one time.
Yeah, you saw it the one time. I like, maybe they're saving it for another, so they have it again to run some other time against another team, or maybe they need to work it out, practice a little bit more. But Armani Rodgers is a converted, QB. This guy.
This time last year, he was playing quarterback.
He was playing quarterback. So I like to see something like that. I like seeing, we were harsh on Scott Turner and Carson Wentz few weeks back because there was no audibles. Like, Carson Wentz isn't allowed to audible. We still haven't seen audibles at the line, but now you're seeing some more of that motion. Before from 25 seconds to 2 seconds when they snapped the ball, it used to be no one moved.
Right.
And now you're seeing back to having that motion there. You're seeing Taylor Heinicke, and Carson Wentz did this last week against the Bears too. So it's not just a Taylor Heinicke thing, but you are seeing where they're pointing out, parts of the defense. They're not leaving their offensive line out to dry. Offensive line has been doing a little bit better. Sadiq Charles had himself a bit of a rough game. A lot of people are asking for Cosme to shift into the guard position and keep Lucas out there. I think that's short-sighted. In my opinion, I think that if Cosme is your right tackle, if Cosme is your tackle of the future, you got to keep him at tackle. It's not, to me, the difference between your tackles and your interior alignment are vastly different. to where you're gonna ruin the development of that young man. Whereas if you're taking a guard and you're shifting him to center, I think those are a little bit similar in the interior. Obviously, you're snapping the ball, so it makes you feel like there's a bigger difference. But when it comes to blocking, your interior have very similar roles. Your tackle's very, very different. So I don't want to ruin that development for Sam Cosmi, who I feel has been doing pretty decent on the outside. Not great. This offensive line has had a lot of struggles. We were calling Andrew Norwell not well.
He's still not well.
He didn't have a bad game.
Hey, the very first possession, remember they got pinned all the way back into the 3-yard line. Remember that nice punt? And so that was probably back in your corner of the field, isn't it, where you were sitting when the very first possession? And so they're at the 3-yard line, and it was 3rd and 7. And you remember Heinicke threw that pass out to the left, and there were 2 defenders there that jumped up and almost picked it off, right? Do you remember that play?
Yes.
I think it was his first throw. Might have been his second, but whatever. Well, you know why it was such a terrible throw, besides the fact that he threw off his back foot? Because the D lineman pushed Notwell right back into him. Just boom, 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 boom. And Notwell's doing this, going backwards. I mean, I was just saying, what is going on here? He can't even block on a normal pass play early in the game. It was like the first pass play of the game, and he's getting run over. He's not good. But they do he's a good run blocker.
Yeah. Okay.
These guys are good run blockers. Most offensive linemen are good run blockers.
It's easy because you get to be an attacker, right?
That's right. You can go forward, right? So I don't know. The line is not, the interior of the line is not great. Look, Larson's come in from his injury and he's played decently. At least you haven't had any snap issues like you had for a couple
some
games.
wood. Knock on some wood.
You haven't any snap. But sometimes, man, what really gnaws at me is maybe it's Scott Turner. I'm sure it's Scott Turner mostly, but it seems like they overthink this stuff, right? Something's working and they're going to it. And then all of a sudden they get away from it. This running is working and it's working and they're moving down the field and they get in the red zone and they had 1st and goal from the 7. And the first play, B-Rob tried to bounce it outside. He got knocked sideways. So nothing. So it's 2nd and 7. So then they run Gibby right up the middle. And he goes for 5 yards. It's 3rd and 2 at the 2, right? Or 3rd and goal from the 2. What does he do? He throws a fade pass to Cole Turner in the end zone. Run the damn ball into the end zone. You just got 5 yards. Run the ball. The Stone special. I'm giving it to you. I'm letting the whole world know what the Stone special is. All right? You got 3rd and 2, right? You're going to do this 2 times in a row if you have to, on 3rd and goal and 4th and goal. You bring in an extra offensive lineman. All right. So you got your 5 offensive linemen, you got your 6th guy on there, right? You put Terry wide left. That's guy number 7, right? In the backfield, you've got Heinicke under center. That's number 8. Behind Heinicke is Armani Rodgers and John Bates. Okay. Like they're back behind him, right? Right next to Heinicke, right behind the guard, is Armaugh, the fullback that they just signed because of the injuries, right?
He was on the practice squad, right?
He played yesterday.
I know, but he wasn't like they was off the streets.
He was on the streets.
Squads. Was he on the streets?
Yeah. But I mean, he's been with the team on and off for 2-3 years.
He was with us during training camp.
Yeah. So you put him right there next to the guard. He snaps the ball, gives Armaugh a second to go in there in that hole over the guard.
A battering ram.
And then the 2 guys behind just sit there and push his ass into the end zone. Now, how hard is that? And you're going to score. And if you don't do it on 3rd down, do it again on 4th down. You're going to score.
Roger must have had to go away for something because I know he'd be right there behind you. Or maybe, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen Roger Smith and Stoner in the same place.
Same place.
Are they the same person right now?
In that final drive when they're trying to run out the clock, remember? It was after the Terry incredible catch because that was just a horrific throw. I mean, it was such a lollipop. I can't believe what's his name caught McLaurin caught it. Right. So they're trying to get one more 1st down. Game's over. Mm-hmm. 1st down, they get about a yard. B-Rob gets about a yard. Nothing there. Right. Then they bring the fullback in. They bring Armah in, right? And they go over the left side. Armah takes the safety and pushes him 10 yards down the field and creates a hole. And B-Rob goes for 7 yards. What do? They take Armah out. Run the same goddamn play, right? You only need 3 yards and the game's over. And they run an off tackle play with no fullback, and they get a yard, and then they have to punt. But it's just sometimes they just the analytics and all this, they just outthink themselves. Yeah, just run the ball.
That's fair. Let's go ahead and get to the Go-gos and no-gos here.
All right. What are we doing first?
This game. Let's do the Go-gos.
All right.
Who was your Go-go? And let us know in the comments who you got for a Go-go this time round here as Washington beat the Green Bay Packers. I think that there's a lot that we can choose from here.
There's a lot.
Who do you got, Stoner, as your Go-go?
There's a lot of obvious, right? McLaurin was great. So let's just put him on he's a go-go, but let's pick somebody else, right? I thought Curtis Samuel was fantastic yesterday. I thought he made some catch. He caught everything that was thrown to him, right? Including that one bullet, one of the 2 bullets that Heinicke threw yesterday, that bullet, and he just snagged it for like an 11-yard gain for a first down. He ran the ball with conviction. He put his head down on a couple of plays. He had a couple of really nice blocks for Gibson's 25-yard run and for a Robinson big run. I thought Samuel was fantastic yesterday. And we talked about it in the offseason. Well, we talked about it last offseason when they signed him and all the different things that he can bring to this team. And right now he's doing it. And he did it extremely well yesterday. Curtis Samuel is my go-go.
Yeah, he had 10 touches on the day, 5 carries, 26 yards, and 5 catches for 53 yards.
Yeah.
Just absolutely just kind of that Swiss Army knife, just getting all the way around. Love to see it.
And you get him in space, and he has that ability to make guys miss. And he does it all the time. And that's huge. Again, the old get him in space and let your playmakers make plays, and that's what he does. Keep him healthy. Keep him in a bubble.
I think another obvious go-go would be Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. Great
just
game.
Again, all over, just had an amazing game. So if I don't pick him as my obvious go-go, because he just, again, had an amazing game, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, I kind of liked what Armani Rodgers brought to the table. 3 targets, 3 catches, 28 yards, nothing special, but I mean, you're the third tight end. Like, you're doing what you need to do there. So some pretty good ones. Can also give it to my man Tress Way.
Yeah.
Just absolutely did a great job punting the ball, pinned him down a couple times. There was the one where they try to get there's a good one. Christian Holmes on special teams had himself a day.
Yeah,
he was doing really good. So
and you mentioned Gibson. Let's not forget about what he's doing on the kick returns. It's nothing flashy, but he's getting it out there. He's not getting hit at the 16-yard line. He's making a difference. He's getting it out to the 26 or the 31. And that's not huge, but it's better than the 16 that Milne was getting you.
Yeah, Dax Milne in on that last kick return, and I was just like, just let it go behind you, please. Yeah. Just let it go behind you. Commandalorian with a go-go here, 37 minutes and time of possession.
Yeah, man, big time.
That was huge. Need to keep it away. Even though Green Bay isn't an efficient offense, look how quickly they made it down. Now, they made it down off of the back of, I mentioned those 3 penalties that kept them alive, but they still made it down and scored a touchdown, bringing it within 2 here. EP is it says her go is EP for buying season tickets and being there for that amazing game.
All right,
yeah, it was nice. A good pat on the back for that one. It was good. Lewis Wright Jr. looking forward to having Diami and Jahan back. There is in Logan, there is a significant drop off, in my opinion, after Jahan Dotson, right? So it's just like, if you look at the number 3, the 3 top, right, you have Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and then Jahan Dotson. De'Ami Brown and Cam Sims are a significant drop off from those three. But they're also your fourth and fifth wide receiver. So you're not necessarily expecting them to be great. With De'Ami, I think that it's more of going to be a consistency issue. And I think that we're not going to see a lot of De'Ami this year if Taylor Heinicke continues to be a QB, because one of the things De'Ami Brown does well is he's a deep threat. Taylor Heinicke's not getting you the ball deep. And Cam Sims is just out there because he's a big body, and there's a lot of people who believe in him, but he's a fourth and fifth wide receiver. Mandalorian coming back with a run defense. Go to the alumni, says Gus Bus. It was great to have them there. It was really nice to have them there. We might touch on a topic, or might save it for Wednesday on the name tag thing. Tressway is Chris's go. Great job. Just an amazing job again by there. I bet you Aaron Rodgers wishes he had De'Ami and Cam Sims. Maybe, because his wide receiver core is pretty bad here. Let's see what they did on the day. I mean, you had Aaron Jones as his second, best wide receiver, which is his running back, nine receptions, 53 yards. Otherwise, Alan Lazard had 6 catches, 55 yards. Sammy Watkins, the next wide receiver, 2 for 36, and then Tunyon, the tight end, 3 for 32. Just
tons of drops.
Sour wide receiver core in there.
Yep.
Let's go for the no-gos. Any no-gos for you? You got to pick one.
Okay, I'll pick one.
Yeah.
You ready for this? This is coming out of left field. You ready? Chris Paul.
For not being able to unseat Norwell and Trey Turner.
That's exactly right. He's so bad that he can't get on. He can't even dress on game days in front of guys like Notwell and who's in Trey Turner. I mean, Trey Turner was dressed for the game, for crying out loud. As bad as he's been, and then who's the guy? And Sadiq Charles, like one of the lowest rated offensive guards in the entire NFL. Chris Paul. Get your shit together, and man, I've been cursing too much. Get your S together and get out there
make a difference for this team. Yeah. All right. Going back to the Go-gos here, Lewis is taking Gibby. Yeah, I love me some Gibby.
I do.
There's some people talking some mess up in the chat earlier about trading him, and nope, not happening. Virgil's going to go with Gibson as well. No-go is 4th and 1. Rodgers didn't see the wide receiver wide open. Could have been a difference maker. It's hard to say that. Yeah. No-go is Montez Sweat, kept quiet by a backup tackle.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I disagree with this too, because there was a great stat. I forget who posted it. The ball was coming out in 2.37 seconds.
I think less than that.
I think it was 2. It was an insane, and you saw this from the go, right? We thought this defensive line was going to eat because the offensive line was so bad. Green Bay came out with a plan, and that plan was get the ball out as quickly as possible. Do not allow Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne time to get to Aaron Rodgers, let alone Sweat. Those two are going to come in. They're going to crash in in about 2 seconds. Sweat's going to get there at 3 seconds. And they weren't letting that happen all game long.
That's right. So Sweat and Payne and Allen actually won that battle against the Green Bay offensive line on last Tuesday and last Wednesday when Green Bay is putting in their game plan and saying, we can't have these long pass plays. We can't do it because their defensive line will eat us up. And they had a rookie offensive tackle out there. And Sweat was pushing him around. Sweat was getting in on some run plays, on some tackles. He was all over the place. He didn't show that much in the stat sheet, and obviously not in the sacks because, they just never had a chance to go get him because he was getting it out so fast.
Yeah,
I think he was all right.
Yeah, I mean, he had the most tackles of any of our defensive ends. So, I mean, there's
how many did he have?
That. So he had 3, one solo. But most of the tackles were coming out there from Cole Holcomb, Cam Curl, Defoe, Jamin Davis, all those 5 or more tackles.
Remember that time he ran over Rodgers on that busted running play? Right, because I think it was Jones. I don't know, Jones or whoever.
Yeah, one of the running backs. Yeah,
where he ran into Montez Sweat and bounced off and went the other direction, and there was like 4 or 5 commanders.
I was laughing. I was laughing up in the stands on that one because I was just like, "What do you think, Rodgers? You're no Carson Wentz. You can't just throw your shoulder up into somebody and knock them flat on their butt. It's not going to happen."
Yeah,
I got a couple more Go-gos in here. Jamin Davis, great game, flying around. Love seeing him play the game right now the way he knows how to play it. Some no-gos in here. Joey Sly getting a couple votes there. And EP had Wild Goose just up when she put in her go. Yeah, Wild Goose, I know, a lot of people are praising him. And again, I understand that he just had a lot of missed tackles. He's got to be able to wrap them up. You cannot let them, get away from you. Mm-hmm. In some cases, and this is where we lost, had these big plays, is when you can't wrap them up and then there's nobody within 10 yards. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, the team's gotten a lot better and they're doing game tackling and people are there to assist, but Wild Goose has to get that fixed. I'm not going to put him as my no-go, but it is, I can understand.
You will after the Minnesota game. I'm predicting that one right now.
We'll see here. Is Chris no-go on the refs.
Those refs were fantastic for Washington. They picked up they got the flag on when Green Bay had the fumble return, but they called the flag on their DB for illegal contact, which it was a little nitpicky. So good on that. They picked up the flag when St. Juste got called for a pass interference on a ball that was, uncatchable. So they picked that up. That was great. Then they had the play down when Tressway put it down to the 1 yard line. And they ended up first calling it a penalty because they didn't think the second guy who came in touched it when he actually did, which made the third guy who came in eligible to touch the ball. So those are 3 times that the refs were in our favor. So I give them a go-go.
Lewis is going with Scott Turner as a no-go, play calling getting too predictable late in games.
Yeah.
I think part of that was you had a double-digit lead. You're just going to run the ball constantly, right? You didn't want to let the clock tick, and you didn't want to give Aaron Rodgers time there. I will say Scott Turner's still very predictable, not as much as he was a few weeks ago, where it was just like if they're in shotgun, they're going to pass, and if they're under center, they're going to run.
They did that, and Trev and I were talking about it, and we watched it every time Heinicke was under center for like the first 13 times they ran the ball. And then in the second half, they ended up throwing it after a while. But yeah, it was very predictable. If he was under center,
I'm not going to say he's not predictable. I'm just saying part of that in the late game this time was he had a double-digit lead.
Yeah.
Gus Bus, no-go, FedEx security, not allowing fans to bring and sell the team signs in the stadium. Well, they might not have been able to bring them, but it didn't stop them from chanting "sell the team" after Tanya Snyder had a video play.
They were holding them too, and the security came and made.
Yeah, see, I know. I saw the social media on that where they were taken away, but like I said, they might have had their signs taken away, but people let their feelings be known on that one. No go from the Mandalorian, red zone field goals.
Yeah,
or 3 red zone field goals. Yeah, the offense has to punch those punch those in for touchdowns.
100%.
Very, very fortunate there. And I understand the no-go on Sly, and I'm going to go ahead and put him there as well for my no-go with the doink. There's not many things to no-go on this one.
He's 3 for 4 from field goals.
And you know what? If he had the we were in danger at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Now we ended up playing it well enough that they had to do this weird lateral play, but we were only up 2 points, Stoner.
Yeah.
If he makes that field goal, they have to go for a touchdown regardless. You can give up the middle of field all day and not worry about getting a field goal to win the game.
Yeah.
Right. So that puts them in position. He doinked it. And that was something that makes a difference.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, he's missed 2 field goals all year.
You picked your no-go as a guy who didn't even suit up.
Okay. All right. But I mean, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves on being a no-go for missing 1 out of 4 field goals.
Hey, that makes a difference. If that was okay, let me ask you this, Stoner.
Right.
If the score was 20-22 and Joey Sly's up there we're the ones down the 2 points, and Joey Sly's up there, and that's when he doinks it. Is he not a no-go?
What part of the game is it?
I'm telling you, it's the game-winning kick right there.
Game-winning, and he doinks it. Is he a no-go? Yeah.
Yeah. He's a no-go, right? Yeah. And so if Washington's up 2 points.
You said it. If.
Again, you picked the guy who's not even suiting up. Hey, Gus Bus, no-go. Trev hating on Taylor big time in the first half. Taylor deserved it in the first half. I'm sorry. He played like absolute garbage that first half. Yeah, it was not a great one there. Let's go ahead and get to pay up here on the dollar. I definitely got to do some calculating to keep us on track. And I'll have some advanced graphics next time for this one. But let's hear it.
We didn't have a whole lot of dollars this week. We only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a little low for us. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be funny when we get to the end to see all the numbers that turned out. All right, first one. Trev said that Montez Sweat was going to have 3 sacks. Yep, I told him not to do that because, but you wouldn't let me not tell him to do that. So he was incorrect. Stoner and Nathan both went against that. Obviously, nobody had even one.
No one had a sack. Aaron Rodgers got that ball out quick, neutralized Washington's strength, which was the defensive line. But like you said, that means the defensive line already won. They won earlier in the week.
Nathan and Trev said Washington would have how many sacks?
Far too many.
At least 5.
5? I put it at 5. I thought I added 4.
Well, either way, I wrote down 5.
Yeah, so
Stoner is the only one that took that. Stoner wins that one.
I thought Jonathan Allen was going to have a monster game. I thought that he was just going to go in there and just wreak havoc. And he did Jonathan Allen things, just didn't get after Aaron Rodgers as I thought he was going to.
Sly has 1 missed PAT all year. Just throwing that out there.
But it was a memorable one, Stoner. People remember that one.
Okay. Next one. Trev said that Heinicke would have 3 interceptions. Now, he probably should have, but he did not. So Stoner and Nathan won that particular one. Stoner and Trev both said McLaurin would have a touchdown. Nathan said no, he would not. And he did.
I'd said that I would be more than happy to be wrong on that one.
Yep.
Jared Taylor here, before you get to this next one, very proud of Taylor shaking off the Russ and getting the win. I'm glad he got the win, and he was definitely a big reason why they got the win. The shaking off the Russ thing, I don't get that. He's a backup. He's a backup quarterback. You expect him to have to come in there. I don't understand the shaking off the Russ thing. This isn't a guy who was injured, who hasn't been at practice and doing anything. I just don't understand it. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that the shaking off the Russ. I'm not picking on you, Jared. I apologize. It's just I've seen that a lot where he's like, oh, he just had to shake off the rust.
Yeah.
No, this guy's been out there the whole time. It's not like he's missed practice.
Again, a precursor for Wednesday. If Taylor plays like he played yesterday, these next 3 games, they won't win any of them. You can't. He did. There were too many lollipops out there that should have been picked. Even in the second half, he was throwing some lollipops that were just Terry was bailing him out like he did all last year. Next one, Nathan and Stoner.
Jared, get the jitters out. That one I could buy.
Oh, you know what? I did this incorrectly.
Uh-oh, Stoner's wrong.
In a good way for me.
Uh-oh, okay. Well,
Nathan and Stoner both said Gibby would have a touchdown, and Gibby did.
Oh, yeah.
Trev said that he would not. So that changes me to that and changes Trev to that. Cool. So first 5, by the way, Stoner has gotten all 5.
Yes. Does it go downhill from here for you?
Kind of a little bit.
I'm at the halfway point. Then I'm +1. Trev is -3.
Yeah. Stoner said that Cole Turner does not score, and Sly does not miss a kick.
Oh, yes. This is the one where Trev was on the fence. I was like, no, Trev, it's your bet and my bet, and he has to hit both of them.
Yeah. So Nathan and Trev took that one. I almost got that one, except for the doink.
The doink.
That one.
I would have been happy to have been wrong there. That doink makes a big difference.
Trev said that Green Bay would have 80 or less rushing yards. And
Trev said it?
Yep. And Stoner and Nathan went against it.
I said they would have more than 80 yards, really?
Yeah. I thought they would too. Because I didn't think that they were going to throw it without receivers. I thought, and they should have. They should have kept running the ball. I don't know why they stopped running. Well, they didn't have the ball much either. But
all right. Well, Trev only finished at -1, and you finished at +4, right? Or 3. +3.
+3, yeah.
Yeah, and I was at +1. Like I said, I'll get an updated little stat sheet for us, make sure that it was good. Final answer, Jared says he was able to settle down from being so excited getting the start.
There you go.
There we go. Oh,
that
down. Is a much, much better thing than shaking the rust off. I can get behind, Jared. That one I can get behind. Gus Bus here saying it was Taylor playing like his idol Brett Favre. Favre had a boneheaded play for every 2 majestic plays. So are we expecting? I'm not going to get into the commentary of him stealing money, but I was about to. I was this close. I was this close to make a joke on that, and I was like, all right, let's
leave politics out of it.
Let's not get into that. But maybe, just maybe some action needs to happen with him laundering money there from Mississippi. Great game. Love the victory. Feel good. I'm in the onesie. Love being in the onesie.
Yeah,
it is the Redskins onesie, and I'm hoping to wear it 3 weeks in a row as we come back next week for the day after reckoning on Monday. But you can catch us Wednesday as we break down the game against the Indianapolis Colts. Early prediction from Lynell, our guest today, said that he's feeling pretty good about that game. I'm feeling pretty good about it too. I mean, they did drop some news there with Sam Ehlinger being the starting QB as Matt Ryan is both banged up and just being benched.
Yeah,
they said it had nothing to do with the shoulder. It's just the guy has so many turnovers in there.
Yeah, but why don't they just say it's the shoulder and
save Matt Ryan because they also pay him money, these guaranteed money the next 2 seasons. Gus Bus, I changed the onesie when we lose. I have 2. I have a Washington football team. I have a Redskin one. And then I'm going to have a Commanders one. That one's going to be purchased here soon. So I will have that, but I wear this until the next loss, and then I'll switch it up. But that's not going to come next week. We'll see, but we'll break that game down on Wednesday.
Yep.
Don't think we have any additional content planned this week unless something big happens, but make sure you stay with us on all of our channels. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, Stoner, you do have something. We do actually have something big happening Wednesday. Good catch, Stoner.
There you go.
Good catch.
You announce it.
On Wednesday, we are going to.
What it is.
Yeah, on Wednesday, we have a big announcement.
Big.
That includes your participation with a gift package. Okay. I'll say it's a giveaway, right? I'll let you know that it's part of a giveaway. And the gift package in this giveaway is total value is more than $800. Okay.
How much?
So more than $800.
More than $800 is in this giveaway.
This giveaway. Yep.
And it's cool. And
it's a big
announcement.
It's a big thing, and it's a good thing. And all that's going to happen on Wednesday's show during the cool down. Stick with us. If you miss out, catch the replay. We'll have some stuff on it this week, but it's going to be good. And you know what? I think that's all we got for now. So until next time.
What's that?
Be a fan.
Do it.